Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer and sex offender who killed and dismembered 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Many of his later murders involved necrophilia, cannibalism, and the permanent preservation of body parts, usually all or part of the skeleton. Dahmer was found to be legally sane at his trial, even though he had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and a psychotic disorder. He was found guilty of 15 of the 16 murders he had done in Wisconsin, and on February 17, 1992, he was given 15 life sentences. Dahmer was later given a 16th life sentence for a murder he had done in Ohio in 1978. Christopher Scarver, who was also in prison at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin, beat Dahmer to death on November 28, 1994.
Early life.
Childhood. Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was the first of his parents' 2 sons. His mother, Joyce Annette, taught people how to use teletype machines. His father, Lionel Herbert Dahmer, studied chemistry at Marquette University and later worked as a research chemist. Lionel Dahmer's ancestors were German and Welsh, and Joyce Dahmer's were Norwegian and Irish. Some sources say that Dahmer wasn't cared for when he was a baby. Other sources, on the other hand, say that both of Dahmer's parents spoiled him as a baby and toddler, even though his mother was known to be tense, eager for attention and pity, and argumentative with her husband and their neighbors. As Dahmer started first grade, Lionel spent most of his time at university. When he was home, his hypochondriac and depressed wife, who was always sick, demanded constant attention and spent more and more time in bed. At one point, she tried to kill herself with Equinol. So, neither parent spent much time with their son. When he was young, he felt unsure of the stability of the family because his parents were always fighting. Dahmer was an active and happy child, but he changed a lot after he had surgery for 2 hernias just before his 4th birthday. When Dahmer was in elementary school, he was seen as shy and quiet. One of his teachers later said that he showed early signs of abandonment because his father was not around, and his mother was sick, which got worse when she got pregnant with her 2nd child. Even so, Dahmer did have a few friends when he was in elementary school. The family moved to Doylestown, Ohio, in October 1966. When Joyce had a baby boy in December, Dahmer was able to choose the name David for his new brother. Lionel got his degree and began working as an analytical chemist in nearby Akron, Ohio, the same year. Dahmer was interested in dead animals when he was young. He may have become interested in dead animals when he was 4 years old and saw his father take animal bones out from under the family home. Lionel said that Dahmer was oddly thrilled by the sound the bones made and became obsessed with them. He called them his fiddlesticks at first. He sometimes looked under and around the family home for more bones. He also looked inside the bodies of living animals to find out where their bones were. In May 1968, the family moved to Summit County, Ohio, in the township of Bath. This was their 3rd home in 2 years, and their 6th home since they got married. The house was on an 1.5 acres of woods, and Dahmer started collecting big bugs like dragonflies and moths, and the bones of small animals like chipmunks and squirrels, from a small hut near the house. Some of these bones were stored inside the hut in jars of formaldehyde. 2 years later, while having chicken for dinner with Lionel, Dahmer asked him what would happen if he put chicken bones in bleach. Lionel was happy that his son seemed interested in science, so he showed him how to safely bleach and store animal bones. Dahmer used these techniques to preserve the bones he was collecting. He also started collecting dead animals, including roadkill, which he would dissect and bury near his hut, sometimes putting the skulls on makeshift crosses. One of Dahmer's friends said that he told him he was interested in how animals fit together. In 1975, Dahmer cut off the head of a dead dog, nailed its body to a tree, and stuck the dog's head on a stick in the woods behind his house. Later, he invited a friend to see the display and said he had found the bones by accident as a prank. Lionel taught his son how to preserve animal bones the same year Joyce started taking more Equinol, laxatives, and sleeping pills every day. This made it even harder for her to talk to her husband and kids.
Adolescents and high school.
From the time he was a freshman at Revere High School, Dahmer was thought of as a strange kid. By the time he was 14, he was drinking beer and hard liquor during the day. He often hid his liquor in the jacket he wore to school. When a classmate asked him why he was drinking scotch in his morning history class, he said that the alcohol was my medicine. Staff thought Dahmer was polite, very smart, and had average grades in his freshman year, even though he didn't talk much. He liked to play tennis and was in the high school band for a short time. Dahmer found out he was gay when he turned 13, but he didn't tell his parents. At the start of his teens, he had a short relationship with another teen boy, but they never met. Dahmer later said that he started fantasizing about dominating and controlling a completely submissive male partner when he was in his early to mid-teens. As time went on, his masturbation fantasies became more focused on chests and torsos. Over time, these fantasies got mixed up with dissection. When Dahmer was about 16 years old, he had a fantasy that he would knock out a certain male jogger he found attractive and then use his body sexually. Dahmer once hid in bushes with a baseball bat to wait for this man, but he didn't come by that day. Later, Dahmer said that this was his first attempt to attack someone and make them obey him. Dahmer was kind of a class clown at RHS. He often pulled pranks, which became known as doing a Dahmer. For example, he would bleat and act like he was having epileptic seizures or cerebral palsy at school and in stores. Dahmer sometimes did these things to make money so he could buy alcohol. By 1977, Dahmer was getting worse grades. His parents paid for a private tutor, but it didn't work out very well. In the same year, his parents tried to save their marriage by going to counseling. They kept fighting all the time. In September 1977, Lionel found out that Joyce had a short affair. He and Joyce decided to get a divorce and told their sons that they wanted to do it in a friendly way. In the beginning of 1978, Lionel moved out of the house and stayed for a while in a motel on North Cleveland-Massillon Road. Dahmer got out of high school in May 1978. A few weeks before he graduated, one of Dahmer's teachers saw him drinking several cans of beer while sitting near the school parking lot. When the teacher threatened to tell the principal, Dahmer told him he was having a lot of problems at home, and that the school's guidance counselor knew about them. In the spring of that year, Joyce and David left the family home and moved to Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, to live with relatives. Dahmer had just turned 18 and was still living with his family. On July 24, 1978, Dahmer's parents finally split up. Joyce got to keep her younger son and would get alimony payments,